Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen who have registered for this webinar. We want to welcome you to our webinar this morning. It's a pleasure to be with you as we look at the alternative approaches to retirement saving for non-formal workers. My name is Lillian Kakai. I'm honored to be your moderator for today. We are going to navigate through this topic. We want to welcome everyone on the call from here at UBRA. We intend to bring every information that will help us understand anything that is concerning our retirement benefits and saving. So as the webinar starts, I want to invite all of us who are on call to respond to the poll questions, the pre-webinar poll questions that are on our screens as we begin. So the retirement security is a fundamental issue for all workers, yet for too long, the conversation has centered mainly on those in informal employment. In Uganda and many countries, a significant portion of the workforce operates in the informal sector, like the entrepreneurs, small business owners, artisans, agricultural workers, vendors, and many others whose income may be irregular and whose access to traditional pension schemes is limited or non-existent. This reality presents a crucial challenge. So how can we ensure financial security for non-formal workers in their retirement? Today's discussion will explore innovative and practical solutions from voluntary pension schemes and savings cooperatives, or also digital and financial tools that are based maybe in community or any other initiatives, as we shall hear from our expert who will be sharing the insights and experiences and strategies to make the retirement saving accessible and sustainable for all. Therefore, I want to encourage us to be actively, participate actively, ask questions where possible, and make sure that you get the insights of this conversation. I want to put on my camera such that we can see who is speaking. Yeah, my camera is failing, but with time, let me be putting on my camera such that you'll see who is speaking this morning. Otherwise, we, on behalf of the members from Uganda Retirement Benefits Authority, we want to welcome all those that have taken time to come and be with us. Allow me introduce our speaker this morning, David Kiwanuka, CPA David Kiwanuka, who is working with us in the Directorate of Supervision and Market Conduct. David, you're most welcome. Come and take over.
Thank you, Lian, for the kind introduction. I truly appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I want to confirm whether you can hear me. Am I loud and clear?
Yes, you are, David, you are.
Okay, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. Like clearly introduced by Lillian, we are going to look at the alternative approaches to retirement saving for non-formal workers. But it's important for us to appreciate and break down this topic and also understand, because we need to first of all appreciate whether we have any problem in-house. Is there a necessity for us to be going through such sessions. Okay, so on our agenda today, we are going to look at, first of all, getting to understand the non-formal workers. Do we belong there? We're going to look at in the process of understanding that, we're going to look at the futures who are non-formal workers in the context of Uganda and some statistics by UBOS. What do we have in the country? Are there any challenges? So having understood that introduction, then we'll be ready to the alternative retirement savings. What options do we have? Then before we can go to the conclusion, and most importantly, and where my major interest is, that you leave a different person, there must be call to action. What are some of the actionable areas that we can have on table? Okay, I want to start with a simple question to you members. How secure is your retirement plan? How secure is your retirement plan? That question requires you also to first of all appreciate, do you have even a retirement plan? If you have one, how far with your retirement plan? In as far as appraising the same, depending on your status, depending on where you are, how far? So some of those questions and more, that's what we are asking ourselves, and we need to find answers. If you do not have any answer, do not worry. It's not yet too late. But you have some answers, then it's the time that for us being positioned to appraise step by step. So let's get to understand when we talk about the non-formal workers in as far as the jurisdiction of Uganda is concerned. According to UBOS, the informal sector workers are basically those who are employed without any legal or practical social security coverage. And they basically make up to around 80% of the Uganda's workforce. This kind of composition plays such a very big component in as far as the Ugandan economy is concerned, and constitutes over 51% of the gross domestic product, as clearly reported by World Bank. But also according to the National Labor Survey that was conducted in 2021, our employment population ratio came to 43%. And this simply means that we are less than half of the working age population that are employed. 51% of the workforce is basically self-employed in the informal sector. And much of this population is excluded from the arrangement of the retirement benefits, and meaning this is putting at stake in as far as the old age security is concerned. And this brings the gap, and this is what we intend to cover through such kind of webinars. You might be asking yourself whether you belong to this group. And let's look at the futures so that we can understand whether you belong to this group before we can go to the subject matter. The kind of people we are talking about, they lack formal employment contracts. Most of them are casual workers. They are self-employed. There are those who are self-employed, but they have the structures in place. You are self-employed, but don't have such structures in place. You lack formal employment contracts, and then you don't have access to the social security benefits. There is no employer contribution in as far as your social security is concerned. You don't have access to medical insurance. Most of these people are engaged in small and medium and basically unstructured employment. What we are talking about, the likes of our colleagues who are in border industry, those who are in agriculture, subsistence farming, the aspect of market vending. These and more are the people we are talking about. If you find yourself in a situation whereby you are vulnerable to economic shocks, you are the person we are talking about. What we are simply saying that you face high financial instability. Why? Because there is absence of structured protections. So if you happen to belong to this kind of group, then you are the person that we are looking at. There are also situations whereby some of us, we are in informal and structured employment, structured business setup, but the provisions that we have for our old age security is not sufficient. We have also seen situations whereby some people within our workplaces, because of tragedies that can befall them at a certain point T, you have to mobilize within a social network to take them to the hospital, to take them to good facilities such that they can be in position to normalize the situation. You also belong to this group. So let's look at some of the figures in as far as Uganda is concerned for us to understand. In as far as UBOS is concerned, over 80% of the Uganda's labor force the Uganda's labor force works in this sector that we call the informal sector. And most of these non-formal workers do not contribute to traditional pension schemes. We're talking about the likes of NSSF. And only 3% of this workforce is covered by the formal pensions. And we're going to look at some of those, what we mean by such. So if you find yourself in such kind of category, our focus is on you. The traditional pensions, we find them not easily accessible, in as much as in the country we have only two, the likes of Mazima and Kasinta. But you might find that people who are on call hardly know about even some of these two schemes that try to address the question of informal workers that find it hard to access the traditional pension schemes. So let's look at the challenges. So because you belong to that category, what are some of the challenges that you're like to face? You find that when it comes to the income streams, they are irregular. And this makes it hard for you to save because the design of the pension scheme, the traditional one, requires you to have regular income periodically, whether a fortnight, whether monthly, quarterly, or semi-annually. So you find that in this kind of sector, the incomes are not regular. We also have a challenge of limited access to the financial services. And this becomes a very big challenge in as far as we are concerned. Again, the aspect of low financial literacy, we practically don't know what to do. We get the money. People who are in the informal sector, what they mastered best is the 2 + 2 and getting 10. How do you multiply your money very fast? They actually get the money. But the aspect of managing the financial discipline, of ensuring that that 2 + 2 when it becomes 10, how do they then use it to address problem number 1, to ensure that there is consistency? The income becomes regular, such that I can now subscribe to the traditional pension system. Then we'll have the short-term financial needs, which is also another challenge. Because in most cases, we tend to prioritize the immediate survival of long-term saving. We focus on the immediate needs and we forget about the long-term, which becomes a risk in the old age. The aspect of planning for social security, and this is one of the remedies through these webinars to ensure that we start on the journey of planning, then we should be in position to execute or implement, and then we should be in position to see fruits at the end of the day. The aspect of culture, that cannot be left out. The culture and social mean and norms. We sometimes have some of these sayings that defeat the purpose. They negate the purpose of us saving to ensure that we have old age security. The saying in some of our local languages that say, some people, you hear them talk about, Kandiezanga, I don't know what will happen tomorrow. Tomanyi kinabeerawo nkya. Abaana bakole ezaabwe. So whatever, you focus on what is there immediately and you forget about tomorrow. Unfortunately, you do not have control of what will happen tomorrow. And you becomes fortunate that you will live longer than anticipated. So, but if you do not plan, it becomes a problem. But the bigger challenge, where the biggest percentage is the risk of business failure. At times when you are on trend of success, business is progressing on well, profits are enormous. Kyengeza kukutegeeza nti amagoba mu business malungi, business etambula bulungi. We normally forget that there are risks tomorrow. You face stiff competition, because as you're doing that business, there is a likelihood that somebody will start the same business, and that competition will can kick you out of the business, more especially if you have not planned very well. So when business fails and you do not plan, and you are aging and might come at unfortunate age of 55, when you're about to retire or you are forced into retirement, it becomes a very big challenge. We have also a challenge of difficulty in accessing credit for investment, unlike people in the formal sector, where they can access loans because of the fact that they are working with corporate organization by their setup. They get salary loans. They have access to SACCOs, the occupational cooperative societies, for which in our case, people who are in formal sector would not have access. It becomes a challenge in accessing credit, because when you go to the credit financial institution, they want to look at your collateral. And in far as the collateral is concerned, you must have constructed it over a period of time. And most of us, when we're looking at collateral, we have assets in as far as land, tuli kubibanja. We do not have private mile, because most of the financial institution, they trust titled securities. So it becomes very hard for you to access some of these facilities. Lack of employer contribution. We earlier mentioned that it's one of the key challenges, that at least you have, as opposed to our colleagues in the other sector, they have a synergy effect. As I'm saving 50,000 per month, then you expect, or you have an option or alternative that your employer will double or contribute the same. In this sector, we do not have that alternative. So what can we do? What are the alternatives that are there for us to ensure that we can counter such a challenge? But the biggest animal in the room, unlike in some of other countries that have got incentives, we do not have the mandatory saving mechanisms for our colleagues in the informal sector, like the way it is with the traditional system, pension systems like NSSF. For the workers that are enrolled in these structures, like it or not, they have to contribute, the employer contributing the 10%, a cost on the employer, and then the 5% that comes from the employee. It is mandatory, so it is forced. But if asked many of them, if they are given room to contribute on their own, many of them will not be doing that. Now, unlike us in the informal sector, you find that it is a challenge that would not have such kind of setup. So what alternatives do we have to overcome some of these challenges? Until you get tired of the situation that you are in, until you get to realize that you are facing danger, until you get to pick experiences from other people who have encountered the same, from within our families, until you get to appreciate your status quo, then you can struggle hard to find solutions. And this is what we are going to offer today. So what alternatives do we have having underscored all the above challenges, and that is our status as people who are in the informal sector. So what is available to us? Number one is the NSSF voluntary savings product. We are aware that a few years back, NSSF within the structure, within the act, they made amendments and they provided for the tailored informal sector provision for the workers such that they can save or make contribution. And this model is available and open to all Ugandans who are aged 16 and above, both whether you are in Uganda or abroad. What you simply need, you need to have a national identification number to get enrolled to this kind of arrangement. The minimum amount that is you require, you are going to save voluntarily is Uganda shillings 5,000 only. And you are free as a member to select the frequency when you want to make this contribution for a particular purpose that is known to you and for a specified period. This is very important. And this has been there and the practice is ongoing. But the question is, how many of us are taking up this option? The return, as far as this area is concerned, is computed daily on the balance that is credited every month and has a minimum lock-in period of 1 year. This is within the amendments by NSSF, and we are here to call upon you to take up such kind of arrangements because they are available for us to address the above challenges that we have highlighted. So this and more others, it's very important that we maximize. Number two, we also have the alternative of informal saving groups or the cooperatives. Unlike our colleagues who are in the formal sector who subscribe to the occupational cooperative societies, we have the community-based saving schemes where members pool funds for future use. So for us who are in the informal sector, I'll speak from where I am and I'll give a practical scenario. I belong to the Roman Catholic. The late Dr. Cyprian, may his soul continue to rest in eternal peace. During his term, he ensured that within the Kampala Archdiocese, every parish, we have over 37 parishes. Every parish has a cooperative society where the parishioners, like where I come from, our parish has over 17 sub-parishes. In Uganda, what we call Ekisomesa. And the model works in a way that every sub-parish has Obubondo, a unit, and goes up to the family level. So, and this is under the supervision of Caritas Kampala. Now, I know some of us who have heard of some of these strong circles coming through the Munakukama on the planet, the Kisubi. Some of these have even got branches. They are as strong as you can imagine, and they are competing with one of the best circles in the country that you know, and their structures keep on improving every after the other day. So I bring this example to you where I belong. That is our leader of this station, Nabingo. In as far as the membership is defined for some of these cooperatives, would not segregate depending on the race, depending on the belief, in as much as this was an initiative brought in by the Roman Catholic. Some of our members come from the Muslim community, others from the Anglican, because we are trying to solve this challenge of the informal sector. And we have over 800 members in that cooperative. Members are saving and getting products. I'm talking about cheap credit facilities. and it gives you an opportunity to access some of the facilities by the government, as we are going to see in the other alternatives. You find that you can be in position to access facilities as low as 1% at a cost per month, as low as 0.08, depending on your status per month. So I'm calling upon, depending wherever you are, irrespective of you or of your belief, if you have such kind of structure within your community, please get to join, because we have had life-changing stories through these cooperatives, through these kinds of umbrellas. We also are aware that there are advantages by the structure of the government through these cooperatives when you move as a group up to 30th June 2027. This started some years back. We have a tax exemption for all the cooperatives where you invest, where you largely want to save their tax rates of over 30%. Now you are competing with somebody who can access some of the benefits paid per annum of 0%. So let's take advantage of some of these alternatives like saving and credit. But the key principle in the saving and credit is you must save so that you can access the credit. And you are in position to benefit from the synergy effects. You are in position to have cheap credit facilities, but also you are in position to share the cost that you incur on the loans that you are taking, because at the end of the day, you are the same people sitting in the annual general meeting sharing the dividends, and where the source of the dividends were as a result of the cost of the loans that you paid. So meaning that the effective interest rate, if it's at 1%, it significantly goes down. And then you'll be in a position to prepare and plan for your retirement with ease, and you're working smart. The other alternative I want to speak to you members is about the aspect of mobile money-based retirement plans, which enables you as an individual to save lesser amounts conveniently. I'll give a case study of Mazima Individual Voluntary Retirement Benefit Scheme. It's one of the registered individual voluntary retirement benefit scheme, fully licensed by the Uganda Retirement Regulatory Authority, UBRA, and it's operational. It has been in existence since April 2016. The question is, if you are not aware of such kind of arrangements, then there is a challenge, but we are here and it's not yet too late. We are here to inform you that such arrangements do exist. How does it work? It enables you to save using your mobile money platform. It has a working relationship with the collecting agents like Airtel Uganda Limited, with MTN Uganda Limited, with Flatwave, with Pride. What simply this means, irrespective wherever you are, in your bedroom, at your workplace, up country, when you are attending to your duties, you can save. You simply need to you have money on your mobile account, and you send the money to the number that would have been given to you by the scheme. And it makes it more convenient. And the charges, in as far as the mobile transactions to the effect at the end, is shared amongst the members. So it means it becomes less costly. And at the end of the day, then we expect this scheme to invest and have your returns secured and have significant returns on your contribution, and regularly attend these AGMs as you monitor the progress step by step on how your old age security is being worked on. This and more are one of the ways. We had also the Kasinta, which is currently under the umbrella. So this is available for, so if you are subscribing, if you're working from Chikubo, you should be in position to join some of these arrangements. It's more convenient, but it does not stop even us from the formal sector to contribute. Or probably you have some of the relatives that belong to this sector. Or you might be one person that seems to be like a person in the formal sector, but the futures describe you as somebody who is in the informal sector because of the unstructured systems wherever you're working from. The other alternative is investment in real estate. I know most of us have tried this, and real estate is wide. It's a topic on its own. But how can this help us in as far as securing our future is concerned? Real estate is wide to the extent that has segments. We can talk about land. How can I use land to secure my future? Land in form of generating little income. Even people who are in formal sector, they try to invest in the informal sector by investing in these small rental units to generate rental income. Or you can hold land to maturity, or you can hold land for resale. What do we mean? That you buy a piece of land in one of the good areas, and you're just watching on the next person to sell to that piece of land at a better price, and thereby you are making a profit. But the big question is not to be overtaken by some of these profits. When you get those profits, where are you putting this money to ensure that helps you to secure your old age? Speaking to the rentals, when I have my rentals constructed, I have 100 million on me. I have 50 million, I have 20 million, I have 15 million. If I can secure land, and my plan is to put up a single room, it might be self-contained or not. I can speak of the remote areas, the nearby areas of Kampala from the road where I'm coming from. The likes of Nsanji, the likes of Chengera, the likes of Nabingo. You can speak of the other roads, Hoima, the other roads of Mukono. You can speak to yourself where you are coming from. Start wherever you are. Don't wait for the development to find you, because it is very expensive, which you might not afford. But when you start small, wherever you are, put up something. The 300,000, if a unit goes for 100,000 that you have constructed today and you're generating income, every time there is improvement in the infrastructure by the government in that area, it moves with an increase in the rental income. And as it increases, it means it works partially on the aspect of passive income. You should be in position to have a situation where the money is chasing you, not us chasing the money every after the other time. So how far have you worked on this aspect where you have the money chasing you? Should you work until the age of 60, 70, and you are chasing the money? So you must put these infrastructures in place, starting today. Start small, think big, but you must start small. Start with those 1, 2, 3 units. I want to give a practical example. In one of the organizations where I provided my services, I was shocked after my 5 years of work when one of our commissioners brought an example of one of the drivers. And the drivers were taken as the small income earners in as far as that organization is concerned. The gentleman, in the 5 years, he started with his piece of land constructing one single unit. And that one single unit, he made sure within his capacity, he constructed up to the finishing level. And then it was occupied. Now he had the synergy effect that now he had another person contributing the 100,000 per month, but also considering that he was gaining his other returns from the other sources. And within no time, he put up the second unit. So you see that this unity was helping to enable and supplement the construction addition of the other unit. And in 5 years, when this big man took us to his project, he had over 11 units of single units. And what happened is, by that time he was generating, because by that time after 5 years, each unit was fetching 150. Now, the person that you think within your place of work, within your area of work, that you think that he's earning 800, he had surpassed many of the colleagues that think that we're earning much more. But he was tracing his areas of investment slowly. Now, what happens to some of us? You get some huge sums of money, and to make it worse, you have borrowed that money. There is a cost attached to it. You don't have a plan. You are so ambitious. So first of all, your design is you are thinking big, and you are starting up something that is big, and you hardly finish it. If it is meant for commercial, you can even hardly roof the house. And yet the cost from the financial institution does not even have a cool period. A cool period means you get a facility, but the financial institution gives you some leeway of 3 months within which you should have used to invest and stabilize. They continue accounting every month. They expect you to contribute. Meanwhile, whatever you are getting, your money, whether it is salary, whether it's business, keeps on reducing every month. Because the financial institution has a 40% of your salary. But again now, because of that, then you're not generating income from what you had anticipated because of poor planning. So when we look at the area of the the real estate, we need to think big, yes, but we need to start small to ensure that we multiply and slowly generate income such that we can slowly, process by process, be in position to secure our old age security. Most of us are thinking to start doing this when we have retired, when we are about to retire, which is very dangerous. From the practical scenario I've given you, you need to start early. Don't be scared to start small. You grow big tomorrow. If a border person from our sector, from the unstructured, most of them have been positioned to put up such kind of arrangements. You too, you can. But remember, most of these alternatives I have given, they are not independent, because most of us will ask, what would be now the source of revenue for us to be in position to finance some of these alternatives that we have talked about? I talked about the cooperative model, and I gave you the design by the Roman Catholic within our parishes. And I've also told you, it does not matter whether you're an Anglican, you can belong to some of these cooperatives. If you come from within my area of visitation Nabingo Parish, please, there is a cooperative called Nabingo Development Cooperative Society of over 800 members. Look for me, I can subscribe to that. It's asset value, and in terms of the cheap credit facilities, for as long as, and we have managed to convince many of the people within the informal sector. We help them. Of recent, we're working with one of the members who was retiring. He had hit his 65 year of age, and he had secured his retirement package. Now he went on an arrangement of annuity periodic payments, anticipating over the remaining useful life of his stay, and he's earning periodically, and he's a happy man. He wanted to ensure that he continues to earn monthly, very secure. He can take care of himself, he can eat well, he can go to the hospital. So such and more of these kind of arrangements can be within the different setting, within the different scheme that we have. The other alternative that we have is the government-sponsored incentives schemes. We have some of the government programs that give affordable credit facilities that encourage us to save. Some of these will have the youthful livelihood program, the likes of Emyoga, the Monabagagawale programs. I know, leaving politics aside, some of these programs are very important for us. We need to engage we need to take advantage of them. But like I earlier said, in alternative number 2 about the informal savings group and cooperatives, most of these government programs need you to belong to one of these groups. And through these groups, you can be in position to successfully have access to them. So it's important to work in groups. We form small groups and be in position to go through the processes and be in position to have access to these great facilities. Those who are in agriculture, the Microfinance Support Center offers agricultural loans. It also offers the asset finance loans, the group loans, the micro grants and micro lease loans as low as 9%. I know most of us, we simply rush to the banks, not decampaigning them, but let's try as much as we are working and trying to secure our old age, not to make it very hard on our side. You go for a facility of 24% per annum, and the cost of this money is so high. The return on capital employed at the end of the day is below 20%, but your cost is 24%. My brother and sister, slowly, without you knowing, you are putting a rope in your neck. Because you don't know, because you don't prepare the books of accounts, slowly and slowly, you get to realize this when you are aging, when you are about to retire. The business looks to be looking good, but yet actually when we are to look at your source of funding vis-a-vis the return on your investment, periodically, you have been dying slowly. You have been using your capital to finance some of the sunk costs, the operational expenditure. So because you are not appraising, you are not looking at the source of revenue, it's right and just, this is the time for us to look for alternative source of funds which are cheaper. And like I said, belong to some of the saving and credit societies, and let's be in position to maximize all the opportunities within the programs, more especially those I know most of us are in agriculture, those who are in areas of business in the informal sector, aspect of asset financing, if you need machinery, depending if you are in factory-based, Microfinance Support Center can help you. I know one of the scheme, but it's unfortunate that some of the schemes, some of the cooperatives that are accessing some of these facilities, again, there are those which are in the formal sector, because we are shying away you colleagues who are in the informal sector from formalizing our groups and being positioned to access some of these facilities. So these facilities are available, and a Microfinance Support Center is located on Nakasero Road. Feel free to engage the group leaders, or probably seek knowledge, and you can always be positioned to pass on the knowledge. And probably in some of the presentations that in the future, the financial literacy or webinars, we should be in position to have the Microfinance Support Center engage you people and be in position to know the step-by-step how you can be in position to access some of these facilities. The other alternative is the aspect of the money market, the unit trust, the aspect of the mutual fund. Now, this one is also very important. Why? I want to speak to, look at that gentleman. Look at, I don't know the age you can give him. You might find he's almost into his retirement age. And he's working so hard, but is he working smart? You might not be an excuse to his status. What have you done as you're generating on this daily income that requires your total and comprehensive energy daily? Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm trying to say, tetugenda kubanga tukola sente buli lunaku nga ffe tugoba sente nga sente zisobola kubanga zitugoba. The aspect of passive income is very important. Part of your financial system structure should have the element of passive income. You should have an asset investment mix. Do not put your assets in one basket. We should have an element where money is working for us. And one of the alternatives is the money market, is the unit trust, which is offered by some of the insurance companies. I'm not promoting them, but I can give examples of the likes of ICEA, the likes of UAP, the likes of Britam. These and more provide some of these products. How they have their offices, UAP's Nakawa Business Park. Please find time through within your circles. This you can even do on individual based. Have accounts with some of these providers and open up an account. How does it work? In summary, I will tell you that every 10 million that is invested can return a minimum of 100,000. In simple terms, on average, the return is between 10% to 12% net of tax. Every 10 million can be in position to return 100,000 per month. It means for every 10 million, you'll be in position to have 1.2 million. For every 30 million, you'll be in position to have 300,000 per month without you necessarily having to be worried of going to work. You have fallen sick. You have not opened the shop. It has rained heavily. They have come for the Kasasiro, and it's going to reduce Kasasiro security contribution fees. I mean, you earn while sleeping. You earn while sleeping. And this is very important when you are in the age bracket when you cannot actively get involved in the working space. It's very important. And this is what we call let the money work for you. We should be in position to dream of the situation when you are not actively working, but the money is looking for you. Every month you'll be expecting, if you are developing gradually some of these accounts, what we call the asset investment mix, and you earn a minimum of 1.5 by the standards of Uganda. If this account, the money market that you have probably have fixed, and you have an arrangement with these service providers, and it is fully secured, and it is slightly the biggest percentage risk-free, and you expect the 1.5 per month, you should be in position to survive. That is if you have planned all other aspects of life very well. But notwithstanding that, this should be one of the areas. And mind you, opening up this account, you need as a minimum of 100,000. Let's just start on this. These are alternatives that are available. The other aspect is the fixed income treasury bills and bonds. These are long-term investment options with significant tax benefits. Where you stand from the informal sector, if you have a business that is registered and you register profits, one of the key requirements, you are required to get an accountant to prepare the books of accounts for you. That is a cost. After preparing the books of accounts, then you require somebody to prepare and submit the same to Uganda Revenue Authority. If you're a presumptive taxpayer whose turnover of income is ranging between 10 million up to 150, you'll be expected to file a presumptive tax return. Again, if you don't know what to do, that is another cost for you because you need a consultant to file for you. Then after that, they will file a return and there will be a tax on every taxable profit. At the end of the day, government will have to take 30%. That's another cost. And if you're directly registered in that company, then on the dividends that you will be getting as a director, you'll be expected to pay withholding tax of 15%. That is another cost. If you are an employee, because directorship is defined as employment in as far as income tax is concerned, then you're expected to earn some salary. On average, the regulator expects you to, as a director, to be earning a minimum of 2 million. Again, within 30 or up to 40% of what you are earning per month is supposed to be limited to URA. That's another cost. So what we are trying to say, there are other alternatives. If you compound all this, how much are you paying? To some extent, because you are not doing tax planning, you are not planning very well, you are donating some funds. So how much do you have? These are some of the areas that can hit you. And by the time you reach the finishing line of 70 years, you reach the finishing line of 65 years, you get to realize that part of the 1 million that you have been generating every year, you have actually effectively been taking home 400,000, and the 400,000 is only helping you to survive, to pay school fees, to pay rent, because you did not plan well, and 60% was going into those costs that I have just spoken to. Now, the alternative to this, there are other ways. We are not saying you should not pay tax. You should pay tax because government needs tax to work on the infrastructure, to work on the hospital. I mean, to provide these services. But is there an alternative of paying optimal tax to ensure that you coexist? By the time you reach the finishing line, you are good. So as I'm generating the income from the business, from the border, from wherever I am generating it, why should I invest somewhere where the tax envelope is huge, when there is an alternative like a corporate bond, which is offered by Bank of Uganda? There is a calendar that runs every year that you need to look out for, and they normally even advertise where they ask for the bids. If you don't know what to do, steps are very simple without going into complication. When you approach your banker is an agent through which you can invest with Bank of Uganda with the treasury bills and bonds. Express, and you can ask your bank to take you through the steps. It's just a one page that you need to fill and complete, and they will guide you step by step. One page. Even when you don't know how to write, they will do it for you. You only need to append your signature. And the next step is for them to be in position with your national ID attached. They will open up an account with you with Bank of Uganda. And the next thing is to avail the money that you intend to save, or you intend to invest in a bond. Bonds are of a different tenure. But what you simply need to know in simple understanding, it was bw'osalawo okutereka ssente ne bank okusiga ssente ne Bank of Uganda, ojja kusobola okufuna okusasulwa okusinziira ku magoba aganaaba galangiriddwa by Bank of Uganda nga bamaze process y'auctioninga. Literally meaning that if I have 100 million to invest, bonds of 20, the longer the period, the higher the return on capital employed. For the tenure of 10 years and above, that is 15 years and 20-year corporate bond. Currently, with the financial year that we are yet to conclude, the government year runs from 1st July to 30th June. We have had bonds between 14 up to 16 point something. When you bring in the aspect of tax, government only takes 10% as opposed to the other tax rates that we have been talking about. 10%, and it's the final tax. I know I've seen some of my colleagues from URA on this call. They know what I'm talking about, but you should also know, because we must be in position to invest where the tax burden is cheaper for us to reach the finishing line when we have something that can take us through the old age. So the return here, if you remove the component, we know some years it has always been even 18.5% return on investment. If you remove the tax component, you can retain over 17% per annum. So for every 100 million, Bank of Uganda will pay you twice in a year. So if you invested in September, it means every September for the next 20 years, you earn 8.5, because they will get what you earn for the year, divide by 2. They will pay you in September of every year and every March of every year for the next 10 years. As you are earning this 8.5 that is coming from the investment of 100 million in the next 20 years, What I expect from you is to invest the 8.5 further to counter the threat of inflation, because the principal investment of 100 million will be paid at maturity when the 20 years elapse. Having enjoyed the 8.5 for the next 20 years, at maturity, the 100 million will be paid back onto your account. Many people argue that the value in the last 20 years would have reduced. But like I said, I keep on investing as I'm securing. We are speaking all this because we want to solve the challenge of irregular, inconsistent revenue streams that is faced by the informal sector. We are treating that challenge. And this is one of the ways where you can invest and you are assured in the next 7 years. So that means now you can enroll to some of the traditional schemes like NSSF, because you can voluntarily now join. You can now join the scheme like the likes of Mazima that requires you to save a minimum of 10,000 per month off your phone, because you have now regular income that comes passively even when you are sleeping. Because of these alternatives, you can be in a position to invest in a unit trust, because now you can invest this 10 million that can give you 100,000 per month for the next period that you wish. But as you grow the fund, then you can invest back in some of these big investments. So hope you understand the structure that I'm talking about. And it is speaking to you that you should have an asset investment mix. At the end of that, I'm going to give you a summary of what I expect you to have as an individual. The types of accounts that you have. Many of you have commercial bank accounts. I expect to have also an account of interest. I expect to have a Bank of Uganda, CSD account. I expect you to have at least an account with NSACO, with the cooperative saving and credit. I expect you to have an account with Mazima, a pension scheme. And that makes you complete in terms of preparing for your old age. As I conclude, there are also other alternatives like the insurance-linked savings schemes that combine the aspect of the pension benefits and the insurance life. I normally tell my colleagues that you cannot behave like your parents of 1900, 1982. Where's the animals? Because you have, and you understand the aspect of insurance. Should I wait? If you have given birth and you are giving birth late, it's also part of retirement planning. If you are giving birth your first child at the age of 45, what do you expect? You'll be in jam, chasing jam when you're taking your child in primary 7. You're using your retirement package to pay school fees. But however, there are measures through insurance how you can counter, because there are reasons as to why that can happen, to have your child at the age of 45, which might not be in your control. There are products like, without promoting some, I'm giving just examples, the products like Somesa Plus, where you can monthly, out of what you are earning, take off some of your savings statutorily from your monthly earnings, and you have a sum assured in the next 13, in the next 8 years. Currently, insurance are taking not going beyond 10 years because of the risk that is involved. But what is important, it has the pension aspect, but also it has an aspect of life assurance. Should you die in the period of paying the premiums or insurance, that means insurance will behave as if you are still in existence, and they will have to pay the school fees as per your insurance policy. So these are some of the products that should be in position. I know of a colleague that planned very well. You and me can do the same. Before even he could give birth, he had some of these products for 7 years, and he had planned every term insurance supposed to be paying him a minimum of 4 million. Now situation got out of hand. He lost his job, but he completed the sum assured in terms of that period. So he's receiving his money, and now because of the situation going to the unexpected, he's in position to use the 4 million to pay for the 3 kids as he's looking for the job. So you must plan This part of securing your old age to avoid the unforeseen circumstances, the annuity, and so many others. So there are many other alternatives, but we have decided to give you some of these so that you've been positioned to secure your old age. In conclusion, I want to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, by advising us, but most importantly, when it comes to retirement saving, it is possible for you and me, irrespective of wherever you stand, irrespective of whether you are coming from the informal or formal. In as much as there are unstructured systems, there are ways of going about this, and we have given you some of them. There are also diverse options that exist. The aspect of circles, like we have hinted, the aspects of, because many of us will say we don't belong to some of the cooperatives. I've given one of the alternatives that comes from a faith-based, the micro finance support center, the micro pension schemes, the likes of Mazima-based solution, where I expect you to subscribe. Then taking advantage of the government programs. You need to act today and ensure that your future and your old age is secured. Ladies and gentlemen, start saving today by utilizing the existing informal sector pension schemes or SACCOs, or invest in the various investment vehicles, invest in alternative assets, consider land. The livestock is not bad. Please don't forget the aspect of agriculture. The small businesses generate income. Be aware stiff competition is on the way. If you don't manage very well, there is a risk of business failure. So you must have planned for your money very well and stay informed, always participate, and come forth when it comes to the financial literacy webinars. There is never enough time to do all the nothing you want, according to Calvin, and that's very important for us. Thank you so much. At this point, I can invite questions and if there are any. Over to you, Lydia. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Like I told us that we have the expert. I think we have seen the expertise in him. He speaks the language from his fingertips. And when he's speaking about the informal sector contributions, you realize that he has given us the best that we needed to have. Please, ladies and gentlemen, you can raise your hand or maybe put a question in the chat so that we get to know your comments about the presentation. David, once again, I want to thank you very much. Just as the questions are coming in, I want us to know that the informal sector contributes significantly to the Ugandan economy. Actually, according to World Bank and Eurostat 2022, the informal sector contributes about 51% of the GDP. So to compound the situation further, many of them are even youth. Like we saw the recently concluded census 2024, which revealed that nearly 85% of Uganda's population is below at the age of 40. So that means that this age is so dynamic and it brings together so many opportunities and challenges when we are looking at the retirement benefits sector. Looking at how the age also plays around with the issues of savings, you realize that it gives us a unique position as a regulator. And there's a conversation that has been going on from the side of regulation about what we can do for the informal sector to also join this class of saving for retirement. So we are not just posing you alternatives, posing you the challenges, but we are also bringing on board the solutions that we can bring together to make sure that we put the informal sector in a situation where they have a formal arrangement of saving for retirement. And through this, we have conducted various studies with FSDU and Bank of Uganda, and have indicated that the way they are working on, the way they want us to help the informal sector, they brought in an idea of a national long-term savings scheme that presents strategic response to these challenges of informal sector saving for retirement. Looking for questions. Yeah, I have one online. At 50 years, this is by David Mesige. At 50 years of age, is it too late to start such a retirement saving plan or program? David, you're there? Your namesake has asked, please keep those questions coming. Let David first answer Mesige's question, then we can continue. Please, David.
Thank you, Lillian. Thank you, David. Namesake, Mesige. I want to be specific. Yes, 50 years, you might say it's not yet too late. It's never too late. We have had worldwide examples of people who have made it at the age of 70 when they thought that everything was lost. So you are still young, sir, to start on the program. However, now it takes into account and understanding the design of your program might not be the same as somebody who is of 30. My proposal to you would be, I would be expecting that at 50 years, you have accumulated some incomes. Now, what is needed to be done is the proper investment and asset mix in the various portfolios. To begin with, at that age, you are slowing down, and in terms of scientifically and biologically, you cannot act the same way you were at the age of 30. So you need to invest so much in the area of or the assets that are passive in nature, the likes of the corporate bonds, the likes of the unit trust, the likes of the money market, the likes of the annuity. Because the assumption here that I've taken is you have some money, but how do we ensure that at the end of the finishing line, when you are totally off the active working sphere, you are in position to have the money chasing you wherever you are going to retire from. Start as soon as possible to have these free accounts. I know you have a commercial bank account. It's right, and just at this point, if you don't have an interest account, you should open it up. You should have a CSD account through your agent, which is your banker. You should be in position. So how these free accounts work? We use the commercial bank account as a collecting account, as a broker or an agent to the Bank of Uganda when you intend to invest in the corporate bonds or treasury bills. But also use unit trust. The aspect of saving, gone are the days when we talk about saving and you are putting money somewhere and you are planning to save 10 million, you started with 10,000, but by the end of the year, it is still 10 million because you kept on saving 10 or 100 or 1 million. The aspect of change of saving has transitioned to ensuring, as I'm saving my 1 million, it should be in position to grow at real time, so that by the time I'm clocking the expected period of saving, it's no longer 1 million, but it is approximately 1.1. It's approximately 1.2 or 2 million. That's what unit trust offers, or money market. Because what that means, in as much as I never had the 2 million, I'm saving slowly, the interest is compounded. Ladies and gentlemen, ekigambo compound ekitegeeza nti bwe ntereka akakadde akamu oba bwe ntereka obukadde 10 ne mbuteeka ku account ya Untrust, omwezi ogugenda okuggwako mba nfunyemu amagoba ga mitwalo 10. Omwezi ogwokubiri sente zenterese oba ezaalibadde nga capital wange entandikwa tezikyali obukadde 10, ziba zifuuse obukadde 10 mu emitwalo 10. Untrust o company eyo esuubira okuba nga ensasula amagoba ku bukadde 10 mu emitwalo 10, kubanga capital wange takyali obukadde 10, aba afuuse obukadde 10 mu emitwalo 10. Kitegeeza interest gye nadde nfuna bw'ebanga luli yadde emitwalo 10, ku luno egenda kubeera emitwalo 10 mu 15,000, kye tuyita compounding interest, which is a beauty when it comes to some of these accounts. And in addition, we use this Untrust to mobilize funds as funds grow for the bigger investments, which are the long term, that can secure our old age retirement. Thank you.
Thank you, David. At the moment, I would like to invite our manager, corporate affairs, Madam Lydia. Please come and expound on a few things about the long-term savings scheme for the informal sector, and maybe give our closing remarks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lillian. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen who have made it for today's session. It's always a pleasure to meet with you and share some insights about retirement saving and planning. Thank you, David, for such an insightful presentation. Lillian has requested me to specifically talk about the National Long-Term Savings Scheme that's in the offing as far as WUBRA is concerned. As David and Lillian have so ably contextualized, where we are currently, most of the Ugandans who are earning a living in non-formal occupations are not actively saving for retirement. Some of them are because they have made a conscious decision, but many of them are not, mostly because they lack a structured system or a structured approach through which they can save for retirement. Those that are in formal employment have the opportunity that government, through the NSSF law, forces them and their employers to save for retirement. Those who are in non-formal settings, exactly as David described, the ones that don't have a contract, the ones that don't have an appointment letter, the ones that are not sure that their job will be here tomorrow or 3 years from today, the ones who are not even sure that today they'll earn or tomorrow they'll not, those ones are not saving because there is no law or there's no policy structure. We have found out through our study as WUBRA in this sector and in other jurisdictions that people to save consistently, there needs to be some kind of policy backing behind them, a bit of, I don't want to use the word force, but compelling. You see, when people are saving for retirement because they have been compelled, left on their own, Ugandans may not be able to save on their own. So we are now proposing, what is it? We know that it is very, very important for everybody who hopes to live long enough to save for retirement. People don't want to get into old age, whether they've been formal or non-formal employees, to get into retirement age and they don't have a fallback position. So for us in government, we are saying, okay, those who are in formal employment have been catered for through law. What about those that are in non-formal employment? Can we cater for them? When the NSSF law was amended, it said every employee, whether they are 5 or 2 or 1, every employee under an employer should be contributing for their social security or retirement savings. Unfortunately, that has not yet effectively taken root. It will be a while because we know that it takes long to change attitudes, to change practices. Now, in addition to that, we are proposing the National Long-Term Savings Scheme, which is convenient and caters to the unique needs of the people in informal or non-formal employment. Okay, first of all, this national long-term savings scheme will be flexible in that it allows, it should be able to allow savers to access some of their savings as and when they need, instead of maybe waiting the way we have it in NSSF. In fact, even NSSF is now more flexible because you can access 20% of your savings as at a certain point. When you've made 45 and when you have been saving for more than 10 years, for 10 years at least. So we are looking at a system that is flexible because we need flexibility. Most informal sector workers do not want those mandatory figures or percentages of their earnings. We are looking at a system that has a bit of incentives such that people are forced to save, but there is an incentive to it. Yeah, there's need for some force, but equally a need for incentives, so that every amount of money you save, the government tops up for you a small percentage. That should also be able to make retirement saving more attractive, especially to the workers in non-formal settings. The same way that government can give tax incentives in order to motivate them to pay taxes. That's what we want to apply in this proposed national long-term saving scheme. We also need a system that allows us to collaborate with other stakeholders, especially telecom and technology industries and initiators, so that we have a system that is easy. Part of the problem is that people are scattered. They need a technology that makes it easy for them to save. Using your mobile phone in your garden, from your farm, wherever you make your money in the market, we should have that system which enables you to save very, very easily. But we also acknowledge that the informal sector workers are heterogeneous. They are varied. They are not all the same. They are not one in terms of character. So they have different needs, they have different capacities to save. Some of them can save 100 shillings, some of them can save 1,000, some of them can save 5,000. But we want, this system is supposed to take care of that heterogeneity, such that everybody in their capacity, in their uniqueness, can contribute for their own retirement savings. But we also want to build in financial literacy, so that we increase knowledge, awareness, which will lead to greater practice. So embedded in the system is intensive or intensified financial literacy to deal with the low financial literacy, which is coupled with general mistrust of pension systems. Remember that many Ugandans don't trust our pension systems. They think government is, again, they're looking for a way of taking our money. They're looking for a way of subtracting from our incomes. But through intensified financial literacy in this new scheme, we shall inform and educate so that people appreciate that this money is being taken away, a small portion is being taken away into a scheme, but at the end of the day, it's their own money. Moreover, it's going to be invested. We want to intensify that literacy and then also ensure that we build the trust, because the reason that many of the informal sector workers are not coming on board, one of the reasons is that they don't trust the system. They think every time government says save here, save there, this is a system we've created for you, it wants to take their money. That is not true. So through financial literacy, we shall be working with us, educating the public and making people in the informal sector appreciate that this is not to take away your money. Rather, it is to save for you so that at an appropriate time, you have a fallback position. So that's the national long-term savings scheme. Those are some of the elements and some of the issues that that are captured in the scheme that is in the offing. And we've already done a study where we're basing all of these proposals, and we have already developed a roadmap. We already got the blessing of Ministry of Finance to see how to establish this scheme so that members or Ugandans who are in non-formal employment can have a place where they can save for retirement. They'll have some incentive to encourage and motivate them. And at the end of the day, we shall all work towards eradicating old age poverty, where we shall ensure broad participation of all Ugandans in pensions and retirement savings, and everybody will be happy, so that we stop relying on our children, we stop relying on the government, which is already overburdened with pensions, we stop begging, we stop living undignified lives in retirement. That's what I can say about the National Long-Term Savings Scheme. I thank you, Lillian, and I thank you, everybody.
Welcome.
And back to you.
Thank you very much, Lydia. The topic is still hot. Many questions are coming in. David, you shouldn't retire yet. I hope you haven't retired because you have a question here. Would you recommend anyone to invest in a foreign currency? For example, in dollars than UGX? Which of the two platforms would you recommend? Yeah, would you recommend, please?
Okay, thank you much. Thank you so much, Lillian. And thank you for that question. My answer would be depends on the financial goals and the risk appetite of the investor. Yes, investing in foreign currency, that is USD, can be beneficial for preserving value, especially in times of the UGX, Uganda shillings depreciation, and also offers opportunities in global investments. However, holding Uganda shillings is more practical, basically for the local transactions, and in the process, it avoids the aspect of the foreign exchange risks. Because when you're trying to translate from a foreign currency to the operating currency, it comes with, it can be a gain or a loss. So in as far to the extent as that is concerned, I would recommend, if the goal is to preserve wealth, and then to have aspect of international investments, a foreign currency account or dollar-based investment may be better, because even some of the recommended investment alternatives for retirement saving, like the interest and bonds, they have options for the foreign currency. If the goal is liquidity for the local use, then you should use the Uganda shillings-based investment like fixed deposit or treasury bonds, or for the cases of SACCOs, they could be ideal. But the choice would depend on the individual. You do a needs assessment, diversifying, when you're looking at the appraisal between the two, it's often the best approach depending on your line. Thank you.
Yes, about the person who wants to be a financial advisor. Yes, Oprah offers opportunities, and whenever there is an opportunity, they advertise, and alternatively, like they put on the website to know whatever opportunities are available. So please just follow us on our website or our social media handles. You'll get to know all the opportunities that are available here at Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. So for now, I request you, dear members on call, to please punch in your answers in the end for questions that are provided on your screens. These help us to perform better in the subsequent webinars that we plan to do. Otherwise, from the team, or the technical team, I want to thank the members of ICT, led by Frank. I want to thank Billy for helping in making sure that the webinar goes very well. I want to thank you, David, for really pouring out your heart. I want to thank members who took time to attend this webinar, and Lydia for your leadership. I want to thank you very much. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you.